So yesterday I made what's called beef tibs, which is the stew that goes with injera. My dad's girlfriend is from Eritrea, and the first time I ever had injera was, I'd say about 10 years ago, maybe 9. And I thought it was great, but since I've gone vegan, I thought I couldn't have it anymore. Turns out the stew is vegan on its own, and it's the beef or the chicken that they typically add to it that makes it non-vegan. So my little sister taught me how to make the stew, and I did it yesterday, and it was really good. 3 out of 4 of my kids don't like it. Me and him do. So good. Yeah. So when I made it yesterday, I just used 1 tomato, 1 onion, and 1 red bell pepper, and there was more than I thought there was going to be once I saw how much it boiled down, but I'm still going to make a double recipe today so I can save some in the fridge and it'll be easy to reheat. And I'm veganizing it. So yesterday what I did was I used Gardein beefless tips. It was pretty good, but I'm going to try it today with potato chunks instead because you need to have something to grab in the stew, otherwise you're basically just dipping injera in sauce. And after I posted that we made it yesterday, I had a few friends ask me for the recipe or how it's made, and I told them, but I figure I'll make a video and show, especially since all my videos on this channel so far have been about shaving my head, and I'm sure that's getting boring and repetitive. So, here we go. I already started before I thought about doing the video, so I've already chopped 2 bell peppers into big sections. I'm going to chop them up smaller and throw them in the blender. I've also got 2 tomatoes and 2 onions, and then I am going to use a couple garlic cloves. I'm not really measuring anything, just kind of doing what I feel is right. I'm also going to use mushroom broth because it's way too thick if you don't use some kind of liquid, and water kind of dilutes the flavor. And then the seasoning is, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's Ethiopian, I think. Berber? I don't know. I think it's Berber, yeah. We got this at Dino's. It was $6.46. We got the smallest bag they had there. It's prepackaged. You don't like scoop it like a bulk section. And I got the injera. My sister brought me to the store. I wasn't paying attention. But it says the primary business address is 840 Logan Avenue in Winnipeg. So it's $5 for a bag, and there's 5 big pieces in each bag. My son calls it Play-Doh bread because of the texture. And anyone who has trypophobia, sorry. Yeah, my daughter, I think part of the reason she doesn't like it is because of all the little holes in the bread. Grosses her out. My cousin's the same way. All right, so I'm going to switch this to time-lapse while I'm chopping and prepping the veggies. And then I'll come back and tell you the rest of the steps afterwards.
Mom, is Naya?
All right, excuse my glossy eyes. These onions are really getting to me. So I forgot to record chopping the garlic, but I just added it in afterwards. So now I'm gonna put some liquid in there just so it'll blend easier. I'm using Campbell's mushroom broth. So you don't want too much. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because it's gonna boil down to thicken anyway.
You know what you should do?
So I am recording right now, Charles. So I've got the liquid about just less than halfway. Love you too. Do you want to take the money?
I have the money.
Why is it still on top of the fridge?
I have what I need.
Oh, okay.
You got 140?
Okay, so I should probably add the seasoning too. I'm out of frame here. Oh well. You guys don't want to see me anyway. You want to see the food. I love you. Be good. Be safe. Be quick. So yesterday I used a smaller spoon and I didn't use very much of the spice because I was worried it was going to be too spicy. Malcolm said it wasn't really spicy. He didn't find it to be. I do. But I've never been a huge fan of spicy food, but I'll work with it. So I'm going to use a relatively large scoop here. Actually, I'm going to add just a little more liquid because if it's all powdery on top like that, I'm scared it's gonna like push up into the lid and then it won't really blend in. So I like to use the smoothie setting just because then I don't have to think too much about what to do. Okay, so that's now about the consistency that I want it. Oh, chunk of onion escaped. It's okay, we'll just take that out. Actually, it doesn't matter because I'm going to put onion in it anyway. Okay, so now I'm going to transfer this to a pot. Can you tell I've never done a cooking video before? Alright, so it starts off pretty full, but if yesterday was any indication, it's going to boil down to about half of what is there. So that looks like a lot, but it's really not all that much. So I will check back in once it's boiling and show you how much it's thickened up, and you'll see the line at the top here once it's gone down. So you put it on the stove top and you cook it for 20 to 25 minutes. Now, while the stew is thickening, I am going to prep the rest of the stuff that I'm going to put into it. I'm going to start by sauteing some onions and garlic in a pan with oil, and then I'm going to add in mushroom and potato chunks. Also, grated ginger. I didn't use this yesterday. My sister suggested it, but I didn't have any, so I had to grab some at the store today. So we're going to add a bit of grated ginger to the pan. I hope that's right, because I'm not sure if I'm supposed to add it to the stew, but it'll be fine. So here we go with that. Alright, I haven't been stirring the stew, which I probably should have been doing. You can already see it's starting to get thicker. It's really foamy. And it's smelling really nice, in case you're wondering. Ooh, that was close to spilling. And then over here I've got the onion sauteing. I'm going to add a little bit of mushroom broth just to keep them from burning. Now keep in mind, I am not a professional chef. This is just how I cook at home for my kids, and I try my best, so bear with me. So I got the mushrooms in, or not the mushrooms, the onions in there. I'm going to add in the garlic and the ginger and let that simmer for a little while. And then the next thing I will add will be the potatoes. So the stew has been simmering for, there's 17 minutes left. Why is it blinking like that? It's not blinking in real life. Anyway, the stew has been simmering for 8 minutes now. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I think because I made more, I might have to cook it a little longer than I did yesterday with the half recipe. So I've chopped up the mushrooms and the potatoes to go in the pan later. I'm going to wait until the stew is in the pan to add the potatoes because I want them to soak up the flavor from that. I don't want them just soaking up olive oil and onion flavor. So now that this is mostly cooked, I'm just going to shut it off and throw a lid on there to keep it from getting too cold. And I'll be back when it's ready to mix. So the timer just went off. It's been 25 minutes and this is not as thick as it should be. So I am going to continue to simmer it for another probably 10 or 15 minutes, and I will show you guys when it's the right consistency to add it to the pan with the rest of the stuff. So it has been another 15 minutes and the stew still isn't as thick as I would like it, but I think for this time, because I'm using potatoes and I want them to soak up a lot of the flavor, I'm going to leave it at this consistency. So you can see it's kind of like tomato soup, and obviously you know stews are usually much thicker than tomato soup. I'm going to put my element to 7, like right between medium and high. Yeah, let me See, that is still really liquidy. That's not the consistency you want for this. But I'm gonna make it work this time. So I'm adding in the potatoes. And I'm hoping this will reduce down to about half of what it is, and that way it'll be as thick as I want it to. I'm also thinking that the extra liquid in the sauce will help the potatoes soften easier. I thought about boiling them first, but like I said, I want them to absorb the flavor of the stew. I'm actually going to give it a little taste test right now just to see if it's any spicier than it was yesterday. Oh, here comes Malcolm. You want to do the taste test?
Yes. It is.
Like a lot?
No.
Should we add a little more spice?
Yep.
Let me just taste it first because I don't know if I can handle more spice. No, I'm going to say that is spicy enough for me. If you want, you can add a bit to your...
Okay.
Well, once it's once it's reduced down, I'll take some out for myself, and then I'll add a bit more spice for you. But I'm more sensitive to spice than you are. Okay, so got the potatoes in there. I'm gonna add the mushrooms too.
Did you know that I have lots of rocks?
I don't know what that is.
It's very good.
All right, so I'm gonna check back in with you guys after this reduces down to the consistency I want it. I've been saying that a lot. And yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, so this is about the consistency I want it, maybe a little bit thicker. So I've got it down to a simmer. I'm going to shut the element off and let it cool down a bit, and I will let you guys see it when it's done. Can't wait, it smells so good. Okay, so this little hardcore savage says it's not spicy enough. I just tasted one of the potatoes after it had soaked up a lot of that seasoning, or a lot of the stew, and I can still feel it at the back of my throat. It made me choke. So I'm going to let him, I took out most of it. This is the stuff that I left for him. He's going to add his own seasoning. Now, Malcolm, keep in mind that yesterday when I made it, for the whole thing, I used one of those scoops and then another half of it. So be careful how much you add because you are going to eat it. All right, let's see.
I'll add this for now.
All right. And once it's done, I'm going to let you guys see him eat it. See his face. See if he turns red or breaks into a sweat. Really? More? Settle down. That's a lot.
Good.
That's a lot.
That's okay.
So here's our finished product. This one's mine. Malcolm's got the extra spicy stuff there. And for those of you who don't know, he's going to show you how you eat injera.
Do I have to say how or just...
Well, I'm sure they can see.
Yeah. I don't eat it normally.
How is it as far as the spice goes? You just trying to be tough, or is it actually not bothering you? Because you added a lot.
Actually not bothering me.
Wow. Well, you handle spice way better than I do, because even this is a little too much for me. All right. Well, hope you enjoyed the video. Whoops. I'll see you again soon.